Icy roads and frozen pipes were a reality for much of the Deep South as an Arctic blast pushed frigid air over the majority of the country. Though Arctic blasts aren't exactly rare weather occurrences, experts say we could see these weather patterns more often as the climate continues to change. Kara St. Cyr wraps up Louisiana's brief encounter with the severe cold and talks with experts about the frequency of these weather events.
A national cold snap hit the United States, crossing state lines from Maine to Louisiana.
A record-breaking Arctic cold snap sweeping across much of the country.
The dangerous cold affecting tens of millions of you from the Northwest to the Southern Plains.
Snow, ice, and brutal temperatures stretching across the middle of the country.
Here in the Deep South, Louisiana handled her brisk encounter with the cold using a bit of humor and sarcasm. Social media was buzzing with content from all over the state as residents wondered how much longer they could brave the cold.
I'm from Louisiana. Of course, when it snows, they're gonna shut down the roads. We can't even drive when it ain't snowing.
You know, I live in Louisiana, not Alaska.
But in some parts of the state, the severe weather was no laughing matter. In the northern region around Shreveport, temperatures dropped to 16 degrees Tuesday night, narrowly beating out a previous record low of 17 degrees from 1972. Baton Rouge and New Orleans fared slightly better with lows of 19 and 24 degrees, but streets were still iced and slick, prompting several closures of roads and bridges. Rodney Mallett with DOTD says the agency anticipated these incidents when they started preparing for the blast last week.
What makes Louisiana unique is we have the third most bridge deck space in the country. What that means is we have a lot of long, wide bridges. And you have seen the sign that says bridges will ice before the road. And that's exactly what happens when we have the right temperatures and right precipitation.
Monday night also saw multiple wrecks. State police investigated a string of accidents along I-10, with a major crash reported near the Atchafalaya Basin. Even though the weather is showing signs of warming, Mallett says DOTD wants to be sure it's safe before opening the roads back up.
There's a lot of factors that go into it. You know, people will say it's 34 degrees, which I don't think it is 34 up there. I'm not real sure. How come you're not opening it? Well, a bridge is oftentimes going to be colder than the regular air temperature because it's elevated. It doesn't have anything underneath it. And if it's over water, then it's going to be colder longer. So we can't make that guess. There's too much that goes into it.
The temperatures are expected to even out as the week progresses, but weather experts say it's possible that we could see a smaller cold snap as we move into the weekend.
The forecasts are showing, kind of warms up a little bit here, and then we get another pulse over the weekend.
Andrew Pershing is the vice president for science at Climate Central. He says that sometimes Arctic blasts can cause wave patterns to lock in place, seemingly repeating the cold temperatures, even in the south. But on a broader scale, Pershing says it's likely we could start seeing these patterns emerge in southern states more often.
There does seem to be some evidence that we are getting more of these kind of cold air outbreaks, especially these persistent ones that come into the country. And there's some speculation that that may actually be due to global warming, warming up conditions in the Arctic. But this is still very new science at the moment.
Can you explain how global warming can contribute to it getting colder, especially in southern areas?
The hypothesis is that essentially, if you're warming up the Arctic faster than the rest of than places further south, you decrease the temperature difference across that band, and it allows the jet stream to wander more and allows it to become a little bit unhinged. And so that's the hypothesis. And there's certainly evidence in the data that we're seeing those sorts of things, but it's certainly a new mechanism that that the atmospheric scientists are trying to really run down.
Like Pershing said, we'll see a slight dip in temperatures toward the weekend, and after that, the weather patterns will stabilize to temperatures we recognize.